Hey guys, it's Liv, and we're here for our final SPL game for the season, because we are taking on Callum. Now, I think I mentioned this all the way back in my draft analysis, that I really wanted to fight Callum this season, and because of the fact that neither of us made playoffs, I unfortunately did end up missing playoffs by one differential. It is what it is, honestly. The people who made playoffs have all had a lot stronger seasons than I've had, and I got kind of lucky in terms of like just sneaking in to even almost make playoffs. So I'm okay with missing it. It'll be a fun playoffs to watch, but Callum and I still did want to fight. It was something that we actually talked about before even week 1 was played, where if neither of us made playoffs, we'd still do this video. So we're here, congratulations. Last week you got cliffhangered on if we made playoffs or not, and this week you see the video. Yeah, it's my game against Callum, but hopefully you enjoy anyway. It should be a fun match nonetheless. If you do, like and subscribe for more, and let's talk about Callum's team a bit, because Callum actually has a really terrifying team. If you told me preseason who I bet on winning the league, I actually probably would have said Callum, if we're being honest. There's a couple of really big threats, and while stuff has changed, I honestly think that every change that Callum made for the most part only improved the team. As it stands right now, Callum's currently big threats are things like the Iron Hands, which is going to be a huge monster to take care of. And I think especially for that 17 price point, it was actually probably really under tiered. I think it's better than most of the 18 pointers. And if I had a later draft pick, Iron Hands was definitely something I was looking at. It's also a really powerful option though, next to things like Iron Crown, Ting Lu, Cinderace, etc. And there's really not a Pokemon on Callum's team that I actually think has a bad matchup here. I'd even argue things like Shiftry seem kind of purposefully good here. So with that said though, considering the fact that Hoopa and Iron Crown were actually really terrifying into my team, I actually really needed my Dunsparce this week. So we're bringing Kachina finally, and not just because the season's over, but it actually kind of saves my matchup here. With this in particular, the goal is going to be pretty simple. We're going to try and use the slow baton pass to get out of situations, while still obviously having the option to bite flinch down certain mons like Hoopa, for example. That said though, we are creeping all the way up to Iron Crown, meaning that if I need to just pivot, I can just pivot slowly and be fine. But if we need to go for a glare, I could still outpace and then go for bite flinches, assuming it is booster special attack. If it's booster speed, I mean, it is what it is, but realistically, Callum will kind of be cleaning with it anyway, and this will get at least an opportunity to go for that glare and then flinch down. I feel pretty confident in Dunsparce's matchup here. I actually think it has a pretty solid matchup into Callum's team, and it was one of the first Pokemon on the builder. Partially because it's the only member I haven't used yet, but also partially because it's my actual solution to Hoopa. Because my dark type on the team is Meowscarada, and last I checked, that's not really going to consistently be a pivot into Hoopa, because I only can take so many hits from Hoopa, frankly. It's a really strong mon. Now up next, we're bringing back Kaching, our Light Screen Raikou, which is going to be a Light Screen, Reflect, Thunderbolt, and Scald set. We're going modest because with modest max speed, we actually creeps elements by 1 point, meaning that I can still go for slightly more powerful Thunderbolt and Scald, as it hits Callum's team really well. We're bringing Terravol into this. I actually specifically pick up Terravol in Free Agent with this mon in case if I fought either Swave or Callum in playoffs. So since we didn't make playoffs, but we ended up fighting Callum anyway for the exhibition, it's finally going to come into play because they both had Electric Immune water types, and I realized after fighting Manaphy that I really do just need Terravol in this mon. It helps so much with this type of matchup. Not only this, but Raikou in general is actually pretty decent into Callum's team. The matchup into it is really not great, because the only means of actually hitting it for really good damage is Ting Lu, outside of, I guess, maybe like just a Psychic Surge boosted Iron Crown going for Expanding Force. But outside of something like that, I mean, it's like that, Desolate Land, Cinderace, and then Ting Lu, which Ting Lu still has to worry about Scald because it's not Vessel of Ruin anymore, meaning that it's actually going to deal a lot more damage. And if we burn that at the very least, I mean, its Earthquakes are going to do a lot less, so I feel pretty confident in Kaching's matchup here as a screens option. I think it'll help a lot with later picks as well that are a lot more on the setup side. Specifically 2 different Pokemon we have, so we'll get into those later though. Now coming up next, we have our Lycanroc Dusk, and Goro this week in particular is going to be really powerful. We have a Choice Scarf set with Rock Blast, Psychic Fang, Close Combat, and Endeavor with the Technician set. This is mostly designed to try and get a guaranteed one-shot on Ribombee, even with just 2 hits of Rock Blast, unless it's a really defensive set. Specifically, my concern here is with a Choice Scarf, we can use this on lead if Ribombee does come to the game, and no matter what, if Ribombee comes, I'm leading it. If not, I'm leading anything else, and this will be my first sack. Unless if I find out that Cinderace is like really threatening into certain mons, but it will most likely end up being more so a sack. Its main job here, though, is to revenge kill things like Salamence if it's DD, but I don't think Salamence comes to this game. I think it's one of the least likely mons, if I'm being honest, despite being really good. I just think that with things like Hatterene and Great Tusk, it might be a little bit more dissuaded. especially the Dundozo as well, and Dunsparce combination. It kind of rules out any type of elements that Callum might bring, or Lapras, which I know Callum actually will respect. But mostly though, if I had to be honest, this is here for Cinderace if it gets out of hand, though I have a better counterplay to it that I'll get into later, and specifically lead Rabombi. Because if we lead Rabombi, well, if we see lead Rabombi, I should say, and it's Focus Sash, 2 Rock Blasts takes it out guaranteed. It does about like 50-something% with each hit, so we don't even need to worry about like a 3-hit. We're just fine. If Rabombi is going to be Choice Scarf though, then that's fine, because we'll still at least trade with it, and then I can go for removal later on. Choice Scarf Rabombi though will more be inclined to probably pivot, or maybe like Revenge Kill, some sort of faster option later on. But either way, I figured it's Queenly Majesty Rabombi. I'm not going to just try and break through Sash and then go for a Cell Rock into it. It's probably going to run Queenly Majesty. If it's adaptability, cool, but I'm anticipating Queenly. I have a lot of good priority in my team against Callum. Now coming up next, we have the return of Mona, our Hatterene. And I think that Mona will honestly probably end up being my win con if I had to guess. That said, I have another backup one just in case, but with Calm Mind and 3 attacks, I feel very confident the Mona can absolutely wall break through my opponent. We're creeping options like Ting Lu because I'm a little bit worried about Ting Lu in particular being able to heavy slam me, though I realized after the match when talking with Callum that while it didn't end up mattering in the game, I should have probably crept Iron Hands because it's only 5 base speed faster, and I had actually some remaining EVs that I threw into my special attack. The Fizz Def is also just meant to try and take on things like the Iron Hands and the Ting Lu as well as possible. And with our offense overall, we should be able to wall break through Callum very effortlessly, especially at +1. We do have our Psychic Surge here just in case if Callum decides to go for his other ability on Hoopa, being Prankster. It kind of shuts that down if it's like Prankster Demon, though I'm really confident Callum's going to bring Psychic Surge Expanding Force on that Hoopa. It matches up really well into my team, and Hatterene is probably my best non-Dunsparce response to it, though I don't want to just bank on Hatterene for being a defensive pivot here because I think it's a lot better utilized offensively. That said though, Hatterene should be fantastic. I'm looking forward to using her again. Now up next we have our Meowscarada, and Lynette here is going to be a really decent option into Callum's team as a really good wall breaker here. We're choice banded with Sword of Ruin, obviously, with Triple Axle, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Flower Trick, just designed to try and creep through most of Callum's team. Specifically, I mean, I can't creep the Rabombi, but it's going to creep over at least like the Cinderace and other mons like that. Not only this, but with Lynette's coverage in particular, outside of like a really defensive Iron Hands, we should actually match up really well overall into the team. And even still, there are options where this can do decent work in Iron Hands, such as just going for a Flower Trick, or even knocking off a random item to maybe better utilize something like Raikou or Hatterene if it's, let's say, a Resist Berry or an Assault Vest. So overall, this should be a really good option for us. I feel very confident in Lynette's ability to just tear through this team. And worst case scenario, we just keep U-turn cycling until Callum's team kind of just gets whittled down and dies. And finally, we have our star of the show, finally having a good matchup into someone, like genuinely speaking, Great Tusk. Now this Great Tusk is going to be a really powerful option because typically how we've had to run Great Tusk is more so as a 5th or 6th mon in most teams. Outside of Nexus, I would say that's kind of how we've had to run Tusk all season. And maybe that's just on how I drafted it, or maybe that's just me not understanding how Tusk is supposed to play in singles, because typically in doubles you'd be using this thing as more of a win con like we're going to use today. But with singles though, I found that Tusk is actually just more kind of meant to be a glue piece, similar to how like a lot of the Smogon meta Zalando T kind of ends up being, and that's fine. Honestly though, I probably should have drafted a mon that could have maybe been more so utilized as a win con for my spot, just because of the fact of how I typically play the game. So maybe I should have stuck with like Iron Moth or like a Garchomp round 1. Live and learn, you know, but Tusk has been really fun to use, and I think we'll finally get to use it as a true win con this week. We're going to be Rapid Spin with Bulk Up. Rapid Spin is here to try and boost our speed, more so than clearing hazards, as well Callum has some decent hazard options with things like Rabombi and Glamora. Overall, I'm a lot more concerned with making Tusk fast enough to outpace things like Rabombi. If it's not going to be a Scarf Rabombi, this will actually be a really great way into Callum's team. Though I realized after the match as well, and this is the other thing, is that in hindsight, Ice Spinner actually was objectively going to be a lot worse. As well, it's good at clearing terrain. I kind of also do benefit from terrain being up, and I would have actually probably preferred to have a Rock move on this, as Rock will still hit Salamence, and it'll actually hit it for about the same damage. But it would have been good into Rabombi as well. That said though, Rabombi will still probably end up dying to an Ice Spinner at +1. I really can't imagine it'll take that hit. And with Headlong Rush as well, will be pretty good into most of Callum's team. With the combination of these moves, really outside of a Levitate Iron Hands, we should be pretty fine. Well, actually, sorry, we're not Headlong, we're Close Combat, my bad. It's specifically for Levitate Iron Hands. But Fighting and Ice hits everything so well on the team, I'm really not too concerned. That said though, that's going to be the team that we're rocking out with this week, and let's get right into the battle. All right. We're here with the final game of our SPL season, because we did not make playoffs, unfortunately. It was a very, very close playoff race, but
We literally missed playoffs by 1 diff. That said though, Callum and I really wanted to fight Callum actually this season. Because Callum is like the person that I have, literally I think besides Nexus, the only person I've like never fought. But I've at least like fought Nexus in mocks. So Callum and I actually agreed preseason that if we didn't make playoffs, we wanted to do some sort of game afterward. So we're taking on Callum now. Obviously, you know, fantastic season for us. I will take it. Win, lose this game. I don't really matter. I just want to get to play Callum. So we have Iron Crown, Iron Hands, Ribombi, Cinderace, Hoopa, Porygon 2. So that means I brought the wrong ability on my Raikou. Actually, into this team it really doesn't matter actually because there's nothing I'd want to refrigerate through anyway. So it's fine. We're seeing the Ribombi lead though, so my lead is always actually going to be Goro. I wanted to make sure I had a Rock Blast candidate that we could just kind of click through, and we guarantee 2-tap Ribombi with Rock Blast. There's actually no world where it takes the hit, so that should work out really well for us. And if Callum's anticipating that I might be going for something like shenaniganry, that's very fine. I don't really mind because, I mean, Callum's abilities are Adaptability and Queenly Majesty. Thankfully, the offensive ability ended up being on Ribombi, and the best defensive utility is Anti-Priority, so our Swagger set works really well. A lot of Brats, that is the Hoopa. Okay, honestly, I don't really mind the Hoopa being here. Rock Blast should still deal quite a bit, and we got a nice ability scout here. Okay, cool. So the fact that Ribombi didn't lead means that this is probably not going to be a Webster Bombi. It's probably more offensive, like a spec set with adaptability, maybe even like Quiver Dance. So I think I'm kind of just free to click Rock Blast here. I don't think the Hoopa switch hits, but I don't think that Iron Crown's a switch in either, nor do I think it's Iron Hands. I think it's probably, if I had to guess, so either Hoopa's going to stay in, and it's like a Sash set, and she's going to try and Clamp Kill and enable for Iron Crown. Or I think Porygon 2 would be the switch in despite close combat. So I'm just going to click Rock Blast. I think it's a nice neutral option. As long as Iron Crown and Iron Hands don't come in, I think I'm good. So we'll see there. I'll definitely be switching on the next turn regardless. I do have Dunsparce if Hoopa decides to stay in. I would like to keep this mon around. Okay, cool. So the Hoopa does switch out. It is probably fearing with Crunch here. We're seeing Boss Hands. So that is the Iron Hands coming in actually. Okay, you know what? Good to know. So this actually does show a lot already. It shows that Callum probably doesn't actually remember, or at least is not anticipating that I would be clicking Psychic Fangs here. So on a future turn, seeing that Iron Hands is the switch in, I know that I could probably just go and click the Psychic Fangs. Also, we got 5 hits on that. So Callum probably thinks we're nice, that actually helps a lot, quite a bit actually. We're gonna go into Kaching here, and then I'm just gonna go for our Reflect, and then probably a Scald afterward. My goal is obviously to make sure that I can take hits as well as possible from this thing. This Iron Hands is the biggest threat to my team for sure. I think the Iron Crown's kind of... It's fine in my team. I think though, honestly, the Dunsparce can in theory check it as long as it's not like some sort of calm mindset with like booster special attack. I think we're probably going to be good. Because I can always glare through it and then just bite it down in Paraflinch. And we do creep it as long as it's not booster speed. But if it's booster speed, it's dealing a lot less damage. So as long as it doesn't get set up like ahead of time really scarily, I think we're okay there. The Iron Hands though, I think is like a legitimate threat. I don't have great switch-ins to this. It's likely to be Levitate for my Tusk. So I have CC, I actually didn't bring a ground move for it. So I think we're going to be fine still, but it's obviously something I need to be terrified of. We do have Terrible, obviously, so this should be good. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because... Ooh, okay. That did a lot. Oh my god, that was Wild Charge? Holy. That, I think that might be banded. I mean, I know we're not like super bulky, but I think like that is still an Iron Hands into a Raikou at the end of the day. Like, I know you're not that bulky. Like, is Wild Charge really a 2 KO there? Is Wild Charge really a 2 KO there? Technically it could be. Technically that could be. We're clicking Reflect either way. That said though, this is either Zap. It might actually be Zap Plate. I think this is... It is probably Zap Plate. I think that's where the damage... Oh wait, no, that's booster attack. Yeah, no, that's banded. That's actually banded. Okay, good to know. So that is banded Iron Hands. I forgot that the Calic for Sword Stance on Showdown defaults with booster. So obviously good to know. I'm too used to playing PGC where these things deal like no damage unless you're Sword Stance, which doesn't really happen these days. But okay, this is fine. I'm just gonna go for a light screen here. I would like to kind of enable Hatterene setup if I'm gonna be honest. I think that should be more than okay. Especially because I think that Terrain will be running out like any turn now. And Hatterene actually is a phenomenal management of this team. I think Hatterene might be thumbnail on if we're looking at it accurately. But we'll obviously have to see. P2 is a little scary, but Tusk actually could also come in here. The issue being though is that P2 definitely has coverage for Tusk and it will deal quite a bit of damage. But at the same time, I could probably go for a bulk up into CC and just get a dent into this and be fine. We'll get our light screen up for now though. I would like to do that and then kind of scout. So P2 is going to go for try attack here. That's honestly not that bad. That actually feels like nothing. Okay, cool. I think with that in mind, I'd kind of like to go into... So we're seeing try attack go off. I think I'd actually like to go into Kachina here. And I can maybe even go for like a glare and then baton pass out myself. Now P2 will be immune to Vessel of Ruin because it is also Vessel of Ruin. But that's fine. I mean, at least I remember P2, my Dunce Burst wouldn't have been affected anyway. So it's not a big deal. But the P2, it definitely does matter for it. That said though, every other mon on the team, and there are quite a bit of special attackers, the Hoopa, Rabombi, Iron Crown, they're all going to be affected by this. The Iron Hands will most certainly come in, so thankfully I don't really need to glare the P2, I can actually just baton pass and get my Tusk in, and then just go for a Bolt Up. And I think that will be a good play. As long as Iron Crown doesn't come in hard there, I think we're good. So we'll more than take that. Tri-Attack's gonna go off, that's fine. I'll just baton pass. Because this is not staying. We got burned. Ooh, okay, that's kind of grody. But we have Bite more so for the flinch, if we're gonna be honest, so it's kind of okay. The passive damage isn't great though, and that removes our do-it-kill, so it's a little not great. We'll go for baton pass either way though. I mean, we're not passing stats, so we're fine. So we're just gonna dry pass, and we'll bring in Tusk for sure. There's no world where we don't bring in Tusk unless if P2 stays in. But I don't know if P2 would stay in. This is kind of a stalemate for Callum, and it's a stalemate that I don't know if Callum wins, especially because I can always flinch Callum down. I think there's also the elephant in the room that why would I bring in a Pokemon like this if I wasn't prepared to just kind of go to war? But if P2 does stay in, if P2 really does stay in, I'm kind of okay with that. I do have switch-ins at the very least that I can baton pass into. I would just like to not have to baton pass into my Tusk. And I think that Callum will probably see this as me going for a stalemate and try and switch into hands to wall break. Because it is a very free opportunity grab for Callum. I just need the free pivot. That's why I can't go into my fighting to the wall break. Okay, cool. So Callum is definitely going to go into Iron Hands here. Yeah, okay, Boss Hand, perfect. So, this works out great. I can now go for a very free switch into my Great Tusk, and we're going to be okay. So, we're going to go into Tusk. Greatest of Tusks. Shout out to Dale. We're going to go for a solid bulk up here. Because even if this is Levitate, I don't really care, actually. Because I don't have a reason to. If Rabombi comes in hard here, good play. Really good play, actually, if Rabombi comes in hard here. But at least I know for future iterations. And at least my Tusk has taken no damage, so I'm okay with that. I'm curious what Callum will probably go for here, though. Because if he is Levitate, he is probably going to quick Bandit Ice Punch. And then I can get my free CC off later. Depending on the damage, I might even go for a Rapid Spin just to stop Rabombi from being as threatening. But I don't think that's my turn right now. It is definitely my turn on next turn, though, if we take, like, under, like, 40%. I think my play is Rapid Spin into CC. Or even Ice Spinner. That's also a Sash Break on Rabombi, too. But I do need to get my Bulk Up off first. I'm not letting this thing just deal a ton of damage. Perfect. Okay, cool. So, what is this going to go for? We're going to see that Hands is going to go for Drain Punch. Okay, that does nothing. Oh, cool. That's fine. How much do I need? Okay, so we're definitely going to go for Rapid Spin here. I don't want Rabombi coming in for free. We're going to go for Rapid Spin at least. Because I do need to properly set myself up to, like, actually prepare with this team. The Hoopa is still a pretty decent defensive check to me, I'm going to be honest, but Callum doesn't know that just yet. Callum's only seen Vulcan Pop so far. And I think the assumption is that I would have a ground type move here. So we're going to go for Rapid Spin. That actually does a bit of damage. Like, that's respectable right there. How much does Great Tusk do, though? +1 to Iron Hands. Close combat. That actually should kill. That should kill. Cool. We'll go for close combat. And even, like, realistically, right? If Rabombi comes in, I'm just going to go hard into Dunsparce. So I don't mind giving it up. That said, though, I would just like to catch Rabombi on a hard switch into me. At -1, though. Ooh! Okay. So that was just barely. That's still fine. I'm still not really too concerned here. Because we've gotten rid of the hands, basically. The hands is basically not a problem anymore. How much does Ice Spinner do? Does 30%? I kind of like to catch a Rabombi on a switch, I'm gonna be honest. That said, though, Rapid Spin also should actually kill too. I think I just go for Rapid Spin. I'd like to maybe see if we can outpace a Scarfer here, you know? Like, I think it kind of makes sense. Yeah, we may as well just outpace a Scarfer. It also doesn't reveal a moveset here. So that should be pretty good. The Tusk is gonna go on a rampage, though. Finally, my round 1 pick is doing something, like, legitimate. I feel like I just haven't had an opportunity to all season, but Callum definitely had the worst matchup to Tusk for sure of all 7 coaches. So that works out really well in my favor. Like even a lot of Callum's backline, like Callum couldn't bring Tinglu because of Tusk, Ments couldn't really come because of Tusk, unless it was some sort of like really good offensive Ments. But I'll take it though. The hands was a huge problem, and especially it being banded hands, I'm actually so much more relieved that it did not come. And thankfully that Rapid's been killed, because that would have been a lot worse if it didn't. That said though, we are now at +2. I can start figuring out what Scarf Calcs I can actually outpace, because I did not think that I would actually get to this point. Wonderhoy, that is a Rabombi. Cool. So this is probably Sash Rabombi, if we're gonna be honest. It looks like Rabombi actually doesn't even die to an Ice Spinner, which is concerning. What's my... I don't beat Porygon 2, I think, if I don't keep Tusk around. So I think I'm gonna go into Kachine here, and I think I'm just gonna go for a Eclair, because now there's no immunity to it. There's not an immunity on the team to Eclair, so we can actually start firing that off like respectively, and Kachina can finally do her job. So Moonblast is gonna go off. That's fine. That does nothing cool. Man, this Dunsparce is just gonna deal like no damage. First the special attack. Well, first the burn, now the special attack drop. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but like, just important to note, obviously. We'll go for a Glare though, and then I'll Baton Pass out. I'm gonna guess this is a Scarf Rabombi. I feel like there's no world where okay, actually, Callum could have definitely Calc Pass, to be fair. I was gonna say I don't think there's a world where Callum calcs for taking on this, but realistically, that 4th move is not a Rock hit move. I think that's a very safe assumption for Callum to make, because both Ice Spinner and Headlong Rush are much better clicks here. That said though, thankfully, we actually made sure that Kachina should still underpace Rabombi specifically, which works out really well because I can then go Baton Pass into Lycanroc, and I can probably just go for some sort of close combat. I don't think there's a world where I need to click Rock Blast. Well, I could click Rock Blast, because even Iron Crown is still going to take a fair bit from that. Like, it's nothing incredible, but it is something respectable for sure. With the Glare on Rabombi specifically though, this does help with a lot of Rapid Spins later on with my Tusk. And on top of that as well, it really helps with making sure that my Lycanroc, even if this is a Scarf Rabombi, will outpace. That said though, Callum is not willing to. That's fine. We're going to see Cinderace coming in. That is really good Declare, actually. I am so okay with that. That opens up my Tusk a lot. Especially if this has like any sort of like mixed coverage. Opens up my Tusk a ton. So I am okay with that. That said though, I think it's Magic Guard and Death Blitz. I think we build Magic Guard now. Yeah. Okay, cool. This is Magic Guard. I had someone call me on abilities for the Iron Moth vid, so I am making sure to really scout that now. That said though, I'm gonna go for a Roost into Baton Pass. I think that's my best play. If Callum gets paralyzed, obviously, I mean, I am sorry about that, but I mean, way of the game. Definitely way of the game. But yeah, I kind of need to get the safe switch in, and I do lose the Iron Crown if I don't keep this Mon healthy. So we need to go for that. That said though, I'm gonna guess that Callum will probably U-turn here. U-turn or low kick, I think, are both very safe clicks. This is Magic Guard, so it's probably gonna be Life Orb if I had to guess. I feel like Life Orb is very free into my team, and unlike Dan, you don't need to worry about locking into really bad moves into things like Dozo. So I'm gonna guess it's probably Life Orb. Yeah, Life Orb Legends. Most likely coming out. Ooh, okay. So I'm not getting as healthy as I wanted, and I actually do need the hard switch around that. That's good to know. I barely took that. That's a lot of damage. Holy. I know I'm mostly Speed F invested and not really HP invested, but my god, that did a lot. I probably need to pick a sack, actually, and I think that's probably think it might be tough. No, it's probably Raikou. I think I need to forego my screens, which is a little unfortunate, but my Tusk can then come in and just click a very free close combat. Because even if Hoopa comes in and even if her Bombi comes in, it's still some decent chip because we are so offensive. So I think I'm okay with that. Flare Blitz will go off. Yeah, that's some decent damage from Cinderace. My god. Let me make sure this isn't like a banded set. Let's see. Flare Blitz, Light Orb. That did about 200 to Dunsparce. Yeah, that's Light Orb. Okay, cool. We'll go into... I think I'm actually just going to go into Lycanroc here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into Lycanroc here. No, I'm going to go into Tusk. I'm going to fake that I have the ground move. Because Crown is not the switch in here. The switch in here is Rabombi. And I'm not going to let myself get gaslit out of that. We'll go for close combat. Because I don't care if Rabombi switches in hard here. I do still have my Dunsparce. And she's still very healthy. And especially when Rabombi comes back in, I do have a pretty good roost opportunity there. So I think I'm okay with that. Callum is going to anticipate for a ground move here, though. I'm very confident in that. That said, though, really wishing I had a Rock type move here. Because Mence didn't come, and that would have still been really good in the Mence anyway. And I honestly probably should have went with the Rock type move here. Close combat's going to go off, though. That should deal a ton. Perfect, near done. If Cinderace kills, I kind of just need to eat it. And hope that I can win with Meow. Meow can still definitely pull this through, though. But that Cinderace is kind of a problem. That Cinderace is actually really a problem if we're going to be honest. Cool. Okay, we'll go into Meow here. And I think I just go for U-turn. No, I think I actually just go for knockoff. I go for knockoff, yeah. There's no real switch in a knockoff outside of B. Cool. Yeah, we'll go for knockoff. I just need my kill, really. The Cinderace is too much of a problem. I can't even really, like, read around it right now. I just need it dead. And while I could have went into Lycanroc, I don't think that was my smartest play. Because I do need Lycanroc really badly for a Scarf B to kill it at this point. Because technically speaking, I don't really kill it that well. That said, though, we're actually setting up pretty well for a Hatterene endgame. This Rabombi is going to be kind of a problem, but I'm okay with that. If it clicks U-turn here, really good play. But I do just need to go into Dunsparce and then go for a Roost. And then hope I can kind of wall the team down. Because Dunsparce also is now suddenly very unkillable. So we'll just kind of have to see where that goes. But yeah, so we'll go for a Roost and then Baton Pass. Well, probably, maybe even Roost and McGlare, to be honest. We can maybe set up for Hatterene really well. Because Hatterene is meant to creep some of these Pokemon. Not all of them, like it's not creeping Iron Crown, for example. But it would definitely creep Hoopa at least, which would be really good. Because I could Shadow Ball that down for free. Unless it's Scarf. If it's Scarf, then I mean, or Sash, then I'm kind of screwed either way. But then at least, like, it doesn't really matter what I'm clicking. So I'm okay with that. Okay, let's see. So, we're gonna see Sticky Web. Ooh, okay, Sticky Web comes up. So this is probably a Sash Repub, you know, it's just played as if it wasn't. Ooh, that's really terrifying, actually, I can't lie. Okay, so we're gonna have to go for a Roost here. Late game Web's really good play by Callum. Really good play, because that kind of invalidates the whole reason I brought my Lycanroc, was to avoid this situation, and it ended up happening anyway. Maybe I should have clicked U-turn or brought in the Lycanroc to stop this turn from happening, but I don't like the idea of letting Iron Crown get set up really well for free, because I think that's kind of what that ends up doing. Okay, cool. So, yeah, Callum is not Scarfed. So when I do Glare that eventually, that will be really helpful. I do get why Callum did play that as Scarf, though. That was a really good bluff by Callum, actually. That was an incredible bluff by Callum. That said, though, I think I just go for the Roost, and then I think I just go Baton Pass into Meow and go for Banded Knockoff. Kind of what I need to do. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see. So it is Vessel's Ruin. That's fine. We'll assume that it's like Fizz Death Vessel of Ruin. Knockoff does decent. If this is Fizz Death, though, we actually 3-hit KO with Flower Trick, which is awful. That's really bad, actually. That said, though, Flower Trick will at least later on do really good damage. Ooh, we didn't outpace there. That's fucked. We might lose to the P2, I'm gonna be honest. I think Callum might have got me. Maybe I should have went Lycanroc. Because especially seeing that's not a Scarf B anymore, I might be screwed. That Iron Crown might actually get me, yeah. I think that's what it's setting up for. Try that. Just don't burn it. I just need it to not burn. Okay, cool. We're good. I'm gonna go for a knockoff here, and then I'm gonna hard switch, and I'm just gonna flower trick this team down. I kind of have to at this point. I don't have a super good play otherwise, and I think I'd rather let this recover and then just go for 2 flower tricks, or even just 1 flower trick and just nab the KO later on after. Or I could actually get this whittled down enough to where Hatterene can set up the win. That is another option. It's just an option that I'm not super great with. We'll kind of need to see though, but I'm not super looking forward to this endgame. I think P2 might just win. Yeah. Maybe Callum switches here, but no, Callum wouldn't even have a switch in here. Because even if B comes in, it still has to worry about, I mean, a lot of things for one. But that B is now probably Queenly Majesty. That's probably what the B is. I think I would just need to go hard into Dunsparce and then Tauntaus. Thankfully, we're always going to get a slow pass out though, because now that webs are up. That is not Bizdev. Cool. I could probably just go for another knockoff, actually. Thunderwave. Alright, good to note. I think I just need to go for another knockoff. I think I'll punish. Because it should deal about the same amount of damage now that the item's removed. And this is not a Bizdev Porygon 2 for the record. Actually, I think we deal more damage. Nope, that was with any item. Yeah, okay. No item should still deal. It deals a little bit less, but not a ton to really matter. If we can kill the P2, I think we're really good. That said though, even removing the Violet is a really huge deal for us. We are making progress objectively, so Callum might just seek a kill, but I don't think he has one. We're gonna see Recover Golf. Okay, cool. So if we hit, we're good. Cool. Okay. Could be worse, could be worse. I think I just need to go into Hatterene and Calm Mind up then and win. I think it's my plan. Because otherwise I do think I lose the game. I could technically go into Goro here, but I don't think it's really a winnable spot. I think this is the mon I have to set up on. The T-Wave will make it very annoying, but I think I kind of just need to eat it. We'll go for Psychic Surge though, and I'm just gonna Calm On. I think I need to get to +6. I kind of wish that I brought like a Pain Split or like a Draining Kiss here, because that actually would have been a really good out in this endgame. But I think I might still be fine. I might still be okay, especially if I can get boosted enough. If Callum doesn't hard switch here, I think that's winnable, as long as I don't get like super parried on crucial turns. But it will kind of determine on that. So we'll have to see. It's literally going to come down to Hatterene though, because Lycanroc can no longer win the game. I had that strictly as a Rabombi out, and unfortunately the webs got up anyway, which actually does screw over quite a bit of my game plan. We're going to see Thunderwave go off. Cool, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we just need to hope that Crown and Hoopa don't win the game out. I just need to Calm On. Oh, ooh, this might be the end. I mean, it is what it is. I will say it is really funny that we both brought Clear normal types, well, paralyzing normal types. Really, really funny, actually. It makes a lot of sense, honestly. It was both, unironically, it was really good for both of us here. Yeah, that's game. That's actually a game. I can't win from here. Again, honestly, this was both of our win cons. So I won't act like, that I'm salty about it. I had to go for the same thing in the Callum scene. So really it is what it is. I mean, this happens, obviously. Unfortunately though, I'll go for Calm Mind for sake of, but like, it doesn't really matter actually. Yeah, there's no world where it does matter, just more to show intention, I guess. Because I can't win from here anyway, Iron Crown sweeps me, because I no longer outpace it. And like, done isn't gonna really matter at that point to the extent that I would need it to. We'll go for Expanding Force again, just to show intention. But, like, it doesn't really matter. I think this is a game. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's a P2 kills. That's fine. It is what it is, honestly. It really is what it is. Still a very fun match, to be honest. So, good game to Callum. But yeah, we'll go for, we'll go for Rock Blast just because it's my best neutral click. But I don't really think it's gonna matter a lot. Because, I'll kill the P2 at least. The P2 will absolutely die to 2 hits at this point. I'm very confident in that. This is a best P2. Yeah, cool. The P2 dead. That is good at least. I still stand by the fact that I think that had to be where I had to gamble. Because I could not get a setup on Hoopa unless it was Specs, which I don't have that information. I've seen no moves from it. Or Iron Crown unless it's Specs, which again, I don't have that information. I've seen no moves from it. The way Callum's setting up an endgame though, that Iron Crown is not Specs. That Iron Crown is definitely boost. Well, not even booster, no, because it's not Proto. Right. Well, it's not Quick Try. It's definitely like a Life Orb set for sure. Or maybe even like a Mind Plate. maybe even weakness policy, but it is not specs. It is anything but specs here. So, yeah, we're gonna see LAPRAS with Kahoopa. Cool. We'll go for Rock Blast and just see what we can get. I mean, we are Scarf, so we will at least outpace this. This is still a very viable out to getting damage. But I kind of just need to see what I can get here. Maybe Like and Rock can claw it back. I mean, who really knows? Oh, this is Scarf. Okay, yeah, that's game. That is, yeah, I made, maybe I should have still looked too. Well, no, because I still stand by the fact that Iron Crown would have won either way. Iron Crown definitely would have found a way to win either way. Because I would have been in the situation, and I could have Calm Minded up once with Hattery, right? But I still don't know if that would have been enough, because I needed to outright take advantage of P2 to get to like +2, +3, +4. Because that Iron Crown otherwise was going to win. We'll go for Glare and just kind of hope, because that is my out. Again, I do just kind of prepare this thing and hope. Cool. Glare's going to go off. And I would unironically need a Roost here. I would need a Roost here, otherwise I lose. If this hits, the game's over. But I can't really just viably Roost through anyway. I do kind of need to hope for pairs, because then I'm playing into crit. Okay, cool. Alright, good game to Callum. Honestly, it was really fun. I had a really good time, and I'm glad I got to play Callum. I've never gotten to play Callum in draft, and I've known Callum for years at this point. So I'm really glad I got to. If you guys are excited, we do have a draft tournament coming up soon that we will be a part of. Should be a couple weeks. It might be starting the first uploads around when this goes up. I don't remember. If not, there might be a couple weeks off, or I might try and find some filler content. I really don't know. But hopefully you did enjoy it, and if you did, like and subscribe for more. I will see you guys in whatever the next draft thing that we upload is. Until then, peace out, guys.